Hey Chicago, what do you say? This is the CHGO Cubs Podcast, presented by Blue Moon, made brighter. Get Blue Moon delivered and see delivery options by visiting get.bluemoonbeer.com/CHGO. Celebrate responsibly. Blue Moon Brewing Company, Golden, Colorado. Luke, how'd I do?
Oh, he's muted.
Oh, they're phasing me out. I see it.
Say that again for the people.
We're getting
being phased out.
We're just, our backup plans.
Yeah.
Just testing out.
Cody Delmendo, Ryan Herrera, and a remote Luke Stuckmeyer today.
Out in the box. I'm
Luke,
in there.
taking days off, sitting at home, doing the show from home.
Yep.
Credit to me and Ryan for being here. Just wanted to point that out.
I listened to yesterday's show this morning with the kids. I sat there and watched. I heard the 33% shows I've missed. I heard all about it. I heard the slander. I heard all the slander. The kids looked at me like, "Daddy, are they saying naughty things about you?" And I said, "Yes, they are, children. They say naughty things." And I told them, I said, "Listen, kids, we haven't been on a vacation. I haven't been anywhere on vacation since CHGO launched. All I take is sick days. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of them. There's a lot of them.
There's been plenty,
but there's been no vacation."
To your point, largely because of your kids, they've been sick all winter. It feels like, based off our conversations. On top of you, so I mean, I gotta say, I'm happy to not be at your house ever. Yeah. That way, I don't get sick either.
It's also his birthday today, so it's Luke's birthday today.
It is Luke's birthday. So
92, I think. So we're gonna. Enjoy your day.
Wow. Well, you're just throwing shots. Just nothing but shots at Luke Stuckmeyer to start the show. Wow.
I haven't done shots in a long time.
Well, in all realness, happy birthday, my friend.
Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Anyway.
By the way, 52, I'm a PCA birthday this year.
Oh, look at you.
Most people when they get to like 35, they don't want to hear it's their birthday, especially women. They don't want any part of it. Now, I'm the opposite. I want all the Facebook messages. I want the Twitter love, and I'm looking forward to the lavish gifts that you'll present me later in the show. Maybe it's a PCA jersey. I don't know what it is, but I'm looking forward to it. So I
will say,
you're about to give me.
Don't let the facts get in the way of a good story, but there is a ton of stuff for tacos in the kitchen today. Yeah. Oh. And so one might say they were for you. One might say
they could have been.
I'm not exactly sure. I walked in and they were here,
Well, credit to me for sharing with everybody then.
Ryan is getting offset. He's pulling a carm. I don't know what he's doing. Oh, yeah. But, again.
He's so old. He's probably getting stiff sitting in that chair. He's got to stretch his legs out every once in a while.
He's probably going to get some of the tacos to come and show it to you, right? He's bringing all the balloons over.
For the 2-year anniversary?
These were specifically for your birthday, Luke. They were always for your birthday.
52.
52. Yeah.
Where's the silver 2 that looks like an S on the set?
They're kind of hard to see because of the way we have the show set up, but they're right here in the middle. Yeah.
What happened to the big silver S we were putting on the set for a couple days?
I took that off.
Yeah.
I was done with
big
that.
silver
S. Home. She's like, that looks like an S. I'm taking it home.
Yeah, there's a balloon on there that says "Age to Perfection."
To perfection.
There you go.
Describes Luke Stuckmeyer.
Hello to everyone in the chat. I see Fernando. I see Ricky. I've seen Godfather. I see Gary, David Snyder, W. Collins.
All our friends.
All of our friends. Credit to you all for being here. While the game is currently on, hit the like button. Hit that subscribe button. If you're new here, we did finally go over that 50,000. Credit to everyone. Everyone. Literally everyone. Big of us to get here. Speaking of new subscribers to our YouTube channel, we also have new diehards. Shout out to Joshua, John, April, Andrew, Eric, and I hope I'm saying this name right, Kareem, Karim.
We'll go Kareem.
Kareem.
Hopefully that's correct.
I just assume he has a great hook shot, brother.
Yeah.
I just assume. All right. Shout out to y'all. Thank you all for becoming diehards. You make me continue to have my job. So today we didn't really know what we were going to talk about, and then we were watching the game, and Christopher Morel, as people were saying in the chat, wasn't having a hot defensive day in the field. So ironically, it's the day after Matt Shaw makes an incredible play at third base last night against Kansas City. So I guess I feel like we've been talking about Morel a ton this offseason and spring anyway, because there's so much question with him defensively. But like after these two errors, Luke, I guess we could start with you. Do you think he can be the bridge to Matt Shaw eventually, or what? How do you feel right now?
I'm losing faith. And I know it's only a spring training game, but we watched him there last year, and the reason I had faith is that he's so athletic. And I watched Nick Madrigal figure out a way to play third base in the offseason last year, and I thought if Madrigal could do it, certainly Morel with all that athleticism and the smiles and the vibes and all that, he'll go over there and do a great job. He looks uncomfortable, right? He looks like a guy who's trying to learn third base. The throws over to first, forget the ball that was hit right at his glove, and Ryan Sweeney was very kind in saying like, oh, that ball's knuckling, it's coming at him hard. It was hit literally at his glove. And then it seemed like he was so bummed that he dropped it that Dansby, even though Dansby was like, it's at your feet, he was just like, no, whatever, man, and just kind of picked it up. And then it felt like he was so down on himself that it was, I don't know if it was the yips, but like he gets the ground ball later in the game and he's pounding his glove. He's got plenty of time. And it's just kind of these lazy, loopy throws. I don't know how to describe it. He doesn't look like a guy whose heart is in it. Am I wrong? Am I imagining that? He doesn't see, either he's so disappointed by it or he just doesn't have his heart in playing third base.
I don't know if the heart is I don't know if his heart is in it. I wouldn't say that, but I do think it's, I would say myself that it's, like you said earlier, a guy that is still just uncomfortable at the position. He's trying to learn the position and wants to be so good at the position that when he does, I think it is when he does make mistakes, as much as, you know, Craig Counsell and the coaches are saying like, it's okay if he makes a mistake. Like, we're just getting him reps right now. It's the most important thing. Like, you make a mistake, you're still going to be a little disappointed. And I think he's just someone that maybe takes it a little bit harder, which is just, you know, hopefully by just continuing to take reps. Obviously, you need the mistakes to come down, but just building more confidence in himself when he does make a mistake. He knows having that mindset that like, okay, I made the mistake, but the next one I'm going to get, that could be part of it. So I wouldn't say he doesn't have his heart in it, because I do think he wants to excel there for the Cubs, especially considering, that's a job he could take himself. But no, I think it's just like a guy that's still trying to figure it out and makes a couple mistakes and maybe just lets it affect him too much when maybe a more veteran player can, someone like Dansby Swanson can make a mistake and know that he'll go ahead and get the next one. That's maybe the mindset that he's got to build towards, the confidence level.
Yeah, I mean, listen, like, I know in the moment, I can understand how Luke feels in the moment, but he's also made some nice plays this spring too. I think, again, I'm not asking him to be elite. I don't think anyone's asking him to be elite. To me, I wouldn't say I'm losing faith, but I don't exactly feel wonderful about it. I'm just at a very I feel like I'm in the middle where, sure, Godfather makes the point that Morel could cost them games because of bad defense. Sure, that certainly could happen. We saw that at first base a couple times last year, whether it was Trey Mancini or Eric Hosmer defensively, right? So, yeah, we've seen errors cost the Cubs games in last year. So that does scare me. If that happens at third base with Morel, like that could be something that looms large, it makes us wonder, should they have made a different decision in the spring, right? The other part of me is that, and I've hammered this a ton this entire offseason, the spring, is that if he can just play a competent third base, it opens up opportunities for other guys. Because if he's your DH, then you can't use Canario as much as you want. You can't use,
anyone else.
You can't use these Garrett Coopers, Dom Smiths, Matt Mervis's as much as you want. That's just the fact of the matter, man. And that's honestly the only reason that I really want him to play third until Matt Shaw is ready. Because hopefully by the time that Matt Shaw is ready, you have some answers with some of these other dudes, whether it's Canario or Mervis. I say Dom Smith and Garrett Cooper just because they're minor league deals and we have an influx of first basemen, right? But it's just kind of one of those things to me that is important. And at the end of the day, maybe I should just be criticizing the Cubs roster construction more so than the players. But all I know is that if Nick Madrigal, who clearly is the better defensive player at third, if he is starting opening day at third base and he's your third baseman every single day going forward, like those breakouts that we're hoping for Seiya Suzuki, Morel himself, Bellinger to do what he did last year, those three guys to provide that power in the middle of your lineup consistently, that if that happens, I probably will be able to live with Madrigal at third until Shaw's here, because at least you're getting power from those guys. You're getting the runs driven in by those guys. Because that's always been my thing, is that third base is like a power, like most of the guys at third base are like a run producer, right? On top of, whether on top of like the, whatever defense that they provide, right? So if you're getting some of these breakouts from Seiya and Morel in the DH role, and Bellinger is being Bellinger, Hap is fine, Nico and Dansby are doing their thing, then you're probably getting enough offense to a point to where you can afford Nick Madrigal hitting ninth in your lineup and being what he is until Matt Shaw is ready. But you're banking on you're asking a lot on some stuff, on something that hasn't been proven, man. And that's what scares me in general about the entire situation. If I knew that, or if Seiya Suzuki had proven to be a 30-plus home run guy already, and Morel, who, again, I'm very high on with the bat, had done that, then I probably would be okay with Madrigal playing third base.
Oh, there's one.
There's one left.
Hey, I heard Cody yesterday had one.
Yeah,
I had two.
Me too. Yeah, he was close.
So that's my big thing with Morel at third, is just like, because of the position, because of last year being such a question when it comes to generating power, up and down lineup. Even though they had 6 guys at 20-plus homers, it just felt like they lacked the power for most of the year. And they're going to be asking for some, or they're going to be banking on some breakouts this year. And I just think you can – I think that it's a lot more beneficial if you're able to project that happening on top of still being able to see what you can get out of Canario and whoever at DH, because it feels like DH is going to be kind of like a intertwirling thing if Morel is not playing that every day,
Yeah.
Which I'm leaning towards what Ryan said yesterday. Ryan, you said, or was it yesterday or the day before, actually? We just said we were talking about third base, and you said I could see Madrigal being the opening day third baseman.
Well, I mean, that was like, that's where I've been leaning this whole time, that until Morel proves differently, Madrigal, I would go with Madrigal is going to be the opening day third baseman.
And days like today are evidence of why you think that. I'm not down. I'm not down on the player. I'm not down on Christopher Morel, although it is on him at this point to find a position. And there are other players, sort of like you said, hoping that he finds that position because it opens up spots for them. Mm-hmm. But I am, having watched enough Cactus League games, I am leaning towards what Ryan is saying, that Madrigal probably will be there on opening day. I don't see how they could with. It wasn't that he looked, I said he looked uninterested or disappointed to be there. It's more like, when he goes up to bat and he takes that breath to calm himself down, that's what he was doing on the throw. I felt like he was just taking the breath, but then he just forgot all the mechanics and all the other stuff. And was like, I'm just going to throw it. And he threw it. I don't know if that's the yips. I don't know if it's a guy who just doesn't have the right mechanics to play third. But I do agree with some people in the chat that are saying start him at DH and have him work every single day before the game over at third base. Every day. And then you can give him those shots later in the season when you need to. But I also don't want to just give away opportunities early in the season. You've got a pitching staff that throws a lot of ground balls.
Yeah.
You don't have a lot of they still don't have a lot of guys that strike tons of batters out. So you can't afford a third baseman who's going to be a liability over there. He's got to be at least average. So I'm leaning towards what Ryan said, that he may not be the opening day third baseman.
And that's what my message has been this whole time. And I think if Monday when we talked about it, I said the same thing. Like, if you're looking at projecting the roster, like, you have to take that into account that Morel has a lot of work to do. So, like, anyone in the chat telling me that, like, Morel's going to, like, assuming Morel's going to be the opening day third baseman, Gary keeps telling me that Madrigal's hurt. I mean, he had an MRI today, but Craig Counsell called it precautionary just because of his leg injury history. Still thinks he's in a good shape. That's from Megan Montemurro. So, like, that's, for now, we don't know if that's going to be something that costs him a lot of time or not. So when we talk about having 3+ weeks till opening day, right now you're probably sitting here like, okay, he's going to be fine, ready to go on opening day. Magical. So you're not sitting here assuming that Morel's going to be the opening day third baseman. You're not going to sit here assuming Madrigal's not going to be hurt and injured going into opening day. So we're like, that's what you're left with, right? You're left with Madrigal as your opening day third baseman. And that, again, it's on Morel to prove that he should be in. Whether that comes, that's probably not going to come the next 3 weeks. But we've heard from out of Arizona, Craig Counsell talk about that. It's not something that's going to be decided on opening day. It's not something that they're giving Morel a deadline to spring training or to the end of spring training to prove it. Like, it is going to be something that we might sit here on April 22nd, and Morel has figured out and proven some consistency there where he can be trusted at third base. Like, it's going to be something that goes on for quite a while, right? But my message has just been, like, if we're talking about opening day in the beginning of the year, unless Morel quickly flips things around defensively. I mean, I posted that clip a couple weeks ago from spring training, just like a supercut of him taking grounders and stuff over at third base, and he had some good plays, but you could also see some footwork issues, right? Just different little issues that come with him learning the position, and it may not be specifically an error, right? That's costing the Cubs base hits or runs or whatever, right? It may not be specifically errors, but was the footwork good enough, or was the footwork bad enough where he didn't get the ball to first in time and the guy got an infield base hit versus the alternative, right? Did it just take him longer to get the ball out of the glove or get into a throwing position that a guy ended up getting over to first base faster versus the alternative, right? It doesn't have to be errors that cost things. It's the little stuff, too, that make you a really good defender. So Morel has to prove, just on top of being able to make the routine plays, that he can improve those little areas, right? The footwork continues to get better. The transfer from glove to hand is getting better. The throwing path, right? We talk about his arm angle, and it just kind of seems a little funky. Can he get that more consistently and crisper, right? There's a bunch of different things that Morel's got to prove before the Cubs are ready to trust him to be their everyday third baseman, if that time ever even comes.
Yeah.
You know what he reminds me of, Cody, is like when he hits, you look at him and go, man, that guy's got a swing. That's a baseball player, right? Like, you have no question about it. Yeah. When you see him in the field, whether it's third base and even sometimes in the outfield, it reminds me of when Michael Jordan was trying to learn how to play baseball again, right? He's this big, lanky, athletic guy, and it's almost like he's not sure how to compact it all into like Nick Madrigal's, we know, small, but it looks so much more natural even for him, even having to take 2 or 3 steps to throw it over to first base. I'm still more confident that ball is going to get there on a line. For some reason, visually, him playing defense sparked an image of MJ running around in the outfield for the White Sox trying to learn how to play outfield.
Yeah. Again, for me, Craig Counsell also said that this third base job isn't going to be – it's not going to be solved on opening day. So, if they do decide to go with Madrigal on opening day, I'm interested to see how they progress with it as the season goes along. I'm not going to sit here and give up on Christopher Morel being able to play third.
I don't think anyone is.
I'm not giving up on it yet. I'm not saying that you can't do it at all. I will say that I trust Craig Counsell and his decision making in terms of, like, if we go into like when games start to matter and it's opening day and Madrigal is straight up starting at third base. If healthy. If not, it probably would be Wisdom or Mastroboni. And Morel's not getting any opportunities over there, then I think it is telling on how they feel in general about him being able to play the position, one. And like you said earlier, Luke, about, just having him taking reps over there every day, like pregame or whatever. I mean, he was doing that last year during the season, to me, it comes to a point where you just gotta, I don't know, move on in some aspects from it. I'm not at some point. I'm not saying right now. I'm not saying in a week. I'm not saying in 2 weeks. I'm not saying on opening day. I'm saying at some point, because if you're not going to give him that opportunity, or if you don't feel confident enough to be able to put him in any games at all at third base,
right,
when games matter, then I think that's telling. And if it comes down to that, that sucks. And I'll probably more so be criticizing the front office on the roster construction because they just have an influx of guys, man. And like I said, the whole reason I want him to be able to play third is because it gives other guys opportunities to be utilized through the DH. And I think that's a big deal with the amount of prospects coming up in the talent that they have, that we just don't have any answers for, man. So that's basically how I feel. Yeah, but I again, like, Madrigal is great defensively at third, and like, it's fine. It's just, for me, you better be getting offense from most of your lineup, man.
Yeah. Well, back to your first point, it's just like, I don't think anyone's giving up on Morel at third base. I think with the athleticism, with the arm strength, like, there are skills he has that obviously Nick Madrigal doesn't have at third base, right? Like Morel, we could see in a good scenario making those kind of plays that, take you into the foul territory and force you to make a really, really strong throw that, Madrigal probably doesn't make, right? Like, so there's stuff that Morel has just skill-wise, raw skill-wise, that is different from what Madrigal has. But it's just, so we're not giving up on Morel. I don't think anyone here is giving up on Morel potentially becoming a serviceable third baseman enough that you can trust him out there to just make the routine plays. But again, it's just on him to go out and show that. And he's made some mistakes. He's made some good plays. He's made some mistakes. I don't think we're any closer than we were 2-ish weeks ago, or whenever spring training started. I don't know if we're any closer now to saying that he's going to be, or he's on path to being an everyday third baseman. I don't know that we are. So he's got work to do. That's all we're saying, is that he's got work to do to prove that. But no one's saying that he can't eventually get there.
Okay.
All right, I have a question then. So who's closer to being an everyday third baseman for the Cubs, Shaw or Morel?
Shaw. At this point, I think the Cubs are higher on Shaw. I think the Cubs are higher on Shaw. They invite him to Major League Camp. They've been putting him in the lineup almost every day. You know what I mean? Like, and this isn't recency bias based off the incredible play he made last night defensively that Marquis put out there. I just, they took him with the first overall pick, and I'm not trying to say that they think that Shaw is a better baseball player than Morel. I think Morel offensively is, the sky is the limit, man. But as when you compact everything, offense, defense, all these little things inside each of those two categories, I do believe that the Cubs feel really high about him in all aspects of that.
Yeah. No, I mean, clearly the bat, they love the bat. If the bat was almost on its own, pushing him up to AA by the end of last year.
Sure.
You mentioned the great play he made yesterday. It was very impressive to see. Him, and I wrote about this after the Cubs convention, him talking about taking 99% of his reps at third base over the winter. Not specifically because, I even asked him, like, is it because there just may be more opportunities at third base at the big league level? And that probably played a part of it, but he was talking about, like, more of just being a well-rounded defensive player, something that I guess Nico Horner had talked about at a little meeting with prospects that the Cubs had, that the more you better yourself around the field defensively, the more opportunities you might open up for yourself when a need arises. So obviously one of them is third base, and we know he's a good defender. He has great instincts. The arm strength is a little suspect, or at least as far as what scouts talked about, was a little suspect coming out of college, but that's also something he talked about really working hard on. And I think I don't know where his arm strength is compared to Nick Madrigal's, but if Madrigal was able to make a lot of the routine defensive plays and getting the ball over from the hot corner, like Matt Shaw could probably do that with the same arm strength or whatever he's at. So I don't know. I think as far as Luke's question, yeah, probably Shaw is closer to being an everyday third baseman than Morel. But I don't know. That's the problem, is obviously how close is he as an overall player, bat, right, everything else. How close is he to the major leagues? And maybe this summer, right? We don't know. But if I was to lean one way, who's the third baseman of the future? It's probably Matt Shaw at this point between the two.
Yeah. See, I think that's kind of that kind of gives us our answer, at least right now. I'm with Cody. I'm not ruling out that Morel could play it, but if you're asking me who's closer to being the everyday third baseman, I would say Shaw. And the same goes. We hear the ad nauseum, the Bears question, right? Fields or whatever. If Fields is only getting you a third round pick, they're saying like nobody really. If the rest of the league is looking around and willing to take a shot on Tannehill or a big contract for, other quarterbacks, Baker Mayfield and Russell Wilson, all these other guys, you have your answer. That's where the Bears have their answer. And Fields is not the franchise quarterback that they're looking for, or he isn't at this point, because nobody else in the league is at this point jumping to give you big draft capital when they can still get him on his rookie deal. That's the way I look at this Morel thing. At the moment, if you had to ask me who's the everyday third baseman, sooner it would be Shaw than it might be Morel.
That's the way it looks. And, yeah, I don't think it's a, either or. It should be an either or, too, right? Like they have some other guys that may be able to come up in a pinch. Again, Shaw is probably coming up later in the season, hopefully. But, you go to the offseason. Trades can happen. We talked about Jose Ramirez forever, all off season, right? Like, so I don't know.
Dream about it.
It's not an either or for me for sure, but it's like, because I think if we continue to go through cycles of just like the third baseman not working out for the Cubs, like eventually they'll have to go out and get one. I think like the goal is to have one of these guys become their everyday third baseman, because they paid Dansby Swanson to be their everyday shortstop, because they just extended Nico Horner. Like if they can get a guy who's under team control, who's a very productive third baseman, like that is the idea, before they have to go out and get someone to fill that hole that, what we're going on like 3 years now, where it's just not been, it hasn't been filled consistently by anyone. So, again, the idea is that it doesn't have to be an either or with Morel, just because or maybe it is an either or for Morel with Madrigal or Shaw, because they would like one of those guys to become like very productive everyday third baseman. That would obviously help them, just as far as flexibility wise, just team building in a team building sense. But they need one of those guys to work out eventually. Like one of those guys has to be able to lock down the position, or at least a couple of them have to be able to platoon in a way that they don't have to go out and get someone, because that just limits your ability to be and your flexibility in a team building, roster building sense if you have to go out and pay big money to get someone.
Christopher Morel is, his defensive versatility is uncertain, but the one thing that is for certain is that the bacon from Charlie the Bacon Guy is awesome. It's incredible, actually. It's based out of Woodridge, Illinois, and he makes craft bacon and bacon jams in over 35 different flavors. That's two for Luke Stuckmeyer.
2 in 28 minutes.
Wow. All right. Bacon and bacon jams are all naturally cured, preservative-free products. No ingredients that Charlie can't pronounce himself involved in the process, unlike most store-bought bacon. They're vacuum sealed and it freezes perfectly. The bacon lasts in the package up to 60 days in the fridge 1 week after the seal is broken and 9 months in the freezer. The bacon jam lasts up to 90 days in the fridge and up to 1 year in the freezer. But if you're keeping bacon in the freezer that long, you're doing it wrong. I got to admit that's so true. All right. He also has great merch. He had some beanies, some hats, some T-shirts in here the other day whenever he made us all a bunch of different bacon.
And stickers.
And stickers. Thank you, Sarah. All right. Love a good sticker. All right. Some of my favorite flavors for me, guys, is the raspberry chipotle. I really like the French toast and the chorizo as well. Ryan, you got a favorite one?
The French toast is actually, French toast and chorizo are my go-tos.
Yeah.
Luke?
Go-to bacons.
Well, I don't know what my birthday dinner is yet tonight, but I'm going to throw some bacon jam on it, whatever it is.
Oh, yeah, brother. That's what I'm talking about.
Absolutely.
Right. The bacon jam goes perfectly on anything. Put it on scrambled eggs, toast, crackers, burgers, grilled cheese, charcuterie boards. Us millennials love charcuterie boards. It goes great on them. All right. Cinnamon rolls, pizza, and Charlie's favorite, the spoon. Starting now, you can save 10% on your order at charliethebaconguy.com when you use code CHGO at checkout. You can pick it up, which is the most efficient way for you, or he will deliver it to you. Credit to him. Meet you halfway. Also credit to him. Or even ship it. He makes the bacon so you can bring it home. You can also contact him on Instagram, Twitter. You can email him at charliethebaconguy at gmail.com. Twitter is CZ the Bacon Guy, and Instagram is Charlie the Bacon Guy. And what goes great with bacon is Blue Moon.
Yeah, Blue Moon goes incredibly well with bacon. Nothing like it. You know, a nice Blue Moon, you know, in a nice cold glass with an orange slice in there.
Oh, man.
Nothing better than that.
I'm telling you, man, there's nothing like Blue Moon with meats.
Something like Blue Moon with meats.
With meats.
No, I was really looking forward to cracking a Blue Moon in the office with Stuckmeyer today for his birthday. And even Corey was supposed to be here. He's not here today anymore. But I thought we were gonna all just do like the Stone Cold, like crack the Blue Moons and do the Stone Cold Steve Austin thing.
Would have been great for us since we're all big wrestling fans.
Yeah, it would have been great.
At least the three of us, not necessarily Luke. But
so
we would have done it for Luke, though.
Yeah, we would have done it for Luke. But yeah, Blue Moon made brighter. Get Blue Moon delivered and see delivery options by visiting get.bluemoonbeer.com/CHGO. That is get.bluemoonbeer.com/CHGO. Celebrate responsibly. Blue Moon Brewing Company, Golden, Colorado.
Luke in the chat. I'm going to cough one time for every candle on my cake. That's a lot of coughs, Luke.
I got 50 more coming up in this segment.
There we go.
So one thing we didn't mention in the first segment, Killian came out of last night's game, which is disappointing because he had been off to such a nice start and he was pitching well. I know we don't take the results fully, but he is a guy, I personally said that results, like seeing the results would be huge for him. And I think it was mainly because of a confidence thing, mentally, all this. He's on the 40, man, so the Cubs clearly believe in him. And he's going to have an MRI, and we'll find out. I hope it's nothing serious, but it just feels like it's not like Brennan Davis because he hasn't had injury problems, but it's more of like it felt like he was finally back on track, and now this setback stinks.
Yeah, I mean, so what is it? It was a shoulder discomfort is what's being reported out of Arizona. Had an MRI today. This is from Mega Montemurro. Had an MRI today and awaiting results, but Craig Counsell calling it concerning.
Yeah,
is a
thank you for saying that.
Considering we're talking about Ian Happ's things was they were optimistic for opening day, right? And Nick Madrigal's stuff is like, don't think it's a big thing, or I forgot exactly what it was. Think he's in good shape was I guess what Counsell had talked about. Like thinks Madrigal's in good shape. To say concerning about an injury to someone, it means a little bit more, right? Mm-hmm. So. Yeah, I mean, for Killian, it's like we're talking about a year and a half ago, like 2 seasons ago, making the most highly anticipated Cubs pitching prospect debut since Mark Pryor, potentially, right? Like 20 years. Like that's where he was at level-wise for the Cubs. And, he has just had the last couple of years just has not been – he hasn't looked well, hasn't looked great at the major league level, and even at the AAA level, he just wasn't, what he was prior to that. I think last year he was able to get the walk rates down a little bit, so was getting a little of that control back. It just wasn't striking guys out a lot. I mean, he has some solid skills, and maybe another season of him just continuing to grind it out would have maybe gotten him back on track, as you said. But where he left off the last couple of years, what the last years have been for him, and to now have what is being called concerning shoulder discomfort, it's not good for a guy that's, like you mentioned, on the 40-man. Where might that leave him with the Cubs, right? Depending on what this is a 60-man move, or a 60-day IL move coming, opening a spot on the 40-man. Like, we don't know, obviously, and I don't want to make predictions, but like that's to hear it's concerning. It obviously just stinks for the Cubs in general because that potentially a depth piece if he can get it back on track, but obviously stinks for Caleb Killian himself, just a guy that's trying to get back on track and trying to get back to that level that he'd been pitching just 2 years ago.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think they were counting on him to be their fifth starter or even sixth starter on this team, but he was a guy that was looking okay this spring, better, like you said, better than we had expected, and he was depth, whether he was going to be at Iowa or he was potentially converting to a bullpen role that he might be useful in. And so it's just hard to watch. I was wondering, like, when I first heard of the injury, I thought of Cody Hoyer, who was DFA'd, made a free agent. Is Cody Hoyer with a team? Did he get an invite from somebody to spring training?
I haven't seen anything about it.
Completely out of baseball?
Yeah. I think it's largely because of the injury.
I know there was a point. Maybe around winter meetings where the Cubs were still in contact with like Hoyer's camp, and I think Brandon Hughes' camp as well. Obviously, they're not in the organization right now, so I'm not 100% sure where those talks led, but I haven't seen anything about Hoyer being picked up by anyone else.
Yeah.
That's what it reminds me of, just a promising young pitcher, and it's why you have to stockpile them, because not only do they all not get there just based on their athletic ability, sometimes injuries impact it too. And so it's just not a given that a guy progresses through the farm system like you think he's going to. And so I feel bad for him. I hope it's not serious, because you were starting to see, I don't know if you were seeing the guy that fans were maybe overamped for when he made his debut with the Cubs, but he was starting to show some promise, right? Yeah. Even though he was being hit hard, like Ryan said, he still had the ability to throw hard. His stuff looks pretty good, and it was a matter of, right, why isn't it necessarily working all the time? But I think they could have maybe figured that out.
Yeah, I mean, I was at Killian's major league debut at Wrigley against the Cardinals in 2022, and he looked really good in the 4 or 5 innings he pitched. And
it was 5 innings.
I remember like being excited, and then everything just kind of fell apart from there. And the difference between him and Brennan Davis, like I said, is like it hasn't been an injury problem with him, I don't think. Not like Brennan Davis, at least. Brennan Davis is just, injury after injury, just can't, like the luck side of that just has not been there for him, right? Killian, he just hasn't produced since that his major league debut, at least in the majors, and he hasn't produced enough in the minors either to get back on track, or else he probably would have had a bigger run last year. But in his like 1 or 2 appearances last year, he wasn't very good at all either. So, again, it's hard to take some of those appearances he had this spring seriously for
just
me,
because
it's spring. Like I'm never like, I see some of you all in the chat like reacting to like a lot of different guys. Like PCA, I got struck out 5 minutes ago, and all of you were like, make sure he starts in AAA. Like, I mean, I think that he should anyway, but like, again, it's just like I don't take any of this to heart. I really don't. It's not worth it because things change so fast in baseball. But when it comes to Killian, like I said, I felt like if he showed that confidence and he showed that he had this stuff still, maybe he could have figured out a way to make it on this opening day roster. I've been reading that he was touching upper 90s, on the stuff this year in the spring, and like that's good. You like to see that. So yeah, and especially since it's a shoulder injury, and Craig Counsell saying it's concerning. Yeah, I'm pretty bummed out about it. I am just curious now, like, what's the move? Like if they, who's going to replace him in a way, like on the 40-man or.
Well, that's if they do that.
If they do put him on the IL, right? And it looks like it could be leading that way.
Considering the word concerning, it's
right.
It seems that. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know exactly what comes from this, but I mean, we also I don't think we even mentioned that Killian is no longer on the top 30 list either for the Cubs.
Yeah, we didn't say that.
He's fallen off the list in Jim Callis' eyes. So it's not just the injury, right? To get the opportunities, and we're talking about the Cubs farm system, like especially the pitching infrastructure and the pitching development that has gone on in the organization the last couple of years. Like, guys are starting pitching guys, relief weapons. Like, those guys are starting to move their way up the system. So not only does this injury sort of derail Killian in a way, depending how long it takes him out, but like he was going to have to do a lot to get back to that pre-debut form, just to get those opportunities to not continue to be passed up by guys. I don't know where he was on the starting pitching depth chart, but it wasn't very high anymore. And even if he had converted into a relief guy, like they have a lot of bullpen options and guys like Daniel Palencia and Luke Little who are moving up the system pretty fast. So he's already kind of falling behind just because he wasn't putting together good seasons the last couple of years. And now, depending how this injury affects him and how long it may take him out, there may just be more guys. The opportunities just might not be there for him unless he can find that form again when he comes back.
Yeah. Barb says, Stuck, that if you take an Epsom salts bath, it will help your cold.
All right. Yeah. Old man soaking in the tub.
Also, Chris Pagero, who sent us a super chat. He's hanging out one of the diehard, the Discord voice chats I was doing. Not the most recent one, but sometime in the last 3-4 weeks. He was hanging out with us in there. He says, Luke, my guy, invest in a pseudo-tac mic. It has a very obvious button, and it's $30. I have one, would totally recommend it.
Tell me if this works.
Oh.
There you go.
There you go.
And I'm back?
You're back.
That's three. That's three.
We got to do that more often.
Yeah.
Well, I've got the button here. In television, they have the actual cough button where you push the button down on any set, but we don't have one of those. And I really could use, in my current state of, sickness, illness.
I can't predict every cough.
Yeah. It's like you gotta be on it. Like when the planes were flying overhead again, for me in Arizona, I was constantly muting my mic so we weren't hearing it. So you got.
So this mic does have an on-off button. I know Sarah can't stay. We're too boring for Sarah to be locked into what we're saying all the time. So I know she's off playing games of crosswords and.
But she's here.
Sudoku.
She's running those ones and twos at an elite level, though.
Still an elite level, but I know that every once in a while we probably lose her like a butterfly off into a field, and it's understandable.
The cough
Everett
wakes
says
me up.
rub Vicks on your chest at night, too.
Vicks Vapor Rub.
Sure, yeah.
That's good. My grandparents used to swear by it.
Or they were saying the whiskey trick, too. When you drink whiskey and honey, it helps with soothe the throat.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Another thing. Go ahead. Oh.
No, I was going to say cough medicine, whiskey and honey. Sounds good.
Okay. We're giving you all the best advice.
Yeah.
So I was reading an article from Tony Andracki from Marquee today about Dom Smith, someone that I did not think I'd be reading about 3 months ago, but we are because the Cubs gave him a minor league invite. It was really interesting. You got a lot of quotes from Dom Smith about, his health and, it's why he's had some of those down years. All this kind of confirmed that he had been talking with, or he had kind of been, or he knew that the Cubs had been interested in him for years. He was once one of the top prospects around the league when he was on his way up, all these types of things. And so, I don't know. We haven't necessarily fully talked about, what are the Cubs doing with all this influx of first basemen? Is it still an insurance thing now that or is it even an insurance thing now that Bellinger is back, or, how they really how they feel about Bush? They want to have insurance because of Bush.
What?
How do they really feel about Matt Mervis? Like,
Yeah, it's cool.
Patrick Wisdom. Okay, you have Dom Smith, you have Garrett Cooper, you have Michael Bush, you have Patrick Wisdom, Matt Mervis, and then Cody Bellinger, who is going to play outfield most of the time as long as PCA is in the minors. But like, eventually PCA is going to be on the major league roster, man. Like there's so many first basemen. I have no idea what they're doing. And I kind of like Dom Smith just because he's a lefty bat and they don't have a ton of those. But like, I still can't figure out how he's going to make it on this roster.
Well, for me, the way I look at it is like, it doesn't matter to me just because it's spring training. A lot of these guys are on spring training invites. So like your Dom Smith or your Garrett Coopers, like they're minor league deals, spring training invites. Like I'm sure somewhere in their contracts, maybe they have a, opt out at, like, if they're not on the opening day roster or like a month into this, like whatever it is. So like, they're, as far as like their depth pieces, right? Like I think Dom Smith is actually picked up prior to Bellinger. There was a cough, Stucky, I saw it. Saw a cough. It's 4. Oh, there's another one. 5.
Is that 4 or 5?
That's a couple of them. But like Dom Smith was a depth piece, a depth pickup. I don't see Garrett Cooper as much different than that. But even you mentioned Mervis and some of these other guys, like Owen Casey was just taking some work at first base potentially, to potentially maybe be there in the future. Like who knows? So for me, like it doesn't matter just because it's spring training. Like a lot of these guys are going to play during spring games, and just because we are 3 weeks away from opening day, like I think maybe as it gets closer, spring cuts in camp start to happen, then you start to think a little bit more about, okay, like where does this guy fit in? Where does Dom Smith fit in? Is he going to be playing for AAA Iowa and with the ability to kind of just be one call away if needed? Or is he going to be, is he someone that has an opt-out in his contract at opening day type stuff, So those are questions that I don't have the answers to, but I also think it's just like right now I'm not really looking at the whole like first base picture and just where guys fit just because it is spring training. I think the closer we get to the season and then actually in the season itself, when the games actually matter is when we start to see, okay, you mentioned Matt Mervis. How do they feel about Matt Mervis? Is he starting at first base in the minors, or is Dom Smith getting those? Or someone like Dom Smith, or even someone else getting those starts at first base, right? Like that starts to tell you a little bit more about his place in the organization, I think.
Sure.
It does sort of scare me. I've said this before. It reminds me of when the Bears came in with training camp with like 11 tight ends. Yeah. And in reality, they had no tight ends. I am a little concerned that they have no first baseman other than maybe Bellinger, who we think will be starting in center field. It's disappointing because, you wanted somebody to grab it by the reins and be like, man, I'm your third. I wanted Morel to grab it, play great. You can say he's your third baseman, and this guy's your first baseman. It's also disappointing because you went from the cornerstones of the team. You went from Bryant and Rizzo. Not that those guys should have been signed. A, they were offered deals. B, not a player that's left has been better leaving other than you could possibly say Schwarber, who had his birthday yesterday, by the way. Happy birthday, Schwarbs. But it's because you went from greatness. You went from Brizzo to now the two biggest question marks on the whole team for multiple years have been third and first base. Yeah. And we haven't seen the person step up and take it. There's no question at all that Cody Bellinger is your best first baseman. None. He just can't play. The guy can't play two positions at one time. Yeah. So until PCA is ready in center field or somebody else, you're not moving him over to first base. So somebody, hopefully Bush and Wisdom can figure it out. I am okay with Dom Smith if that's who you want to be, that extra person. But it just does sort of feel like, maybe it doesn't feel like Mancini and Hosmer, but it does feel sort of like Mancini-Hosmer 2.0. There is you can't say there isn't a slight taste of it. You got to sip it a second time to be like, is that Hosmer? Was that Mancini? No, but it was pretty close. It's similar. It's like grapefruit juice and lemon juice. They're similar, but it's not quite the same.
Well, I think that at least with Bush, there's some optimism there with the prospect ranking that he is at. the fact that he is a left-handed bat, the fact that he's been great in the minors, he's going to get a full opportunity. So I'm not even really necessarily super worried about him until further notice. I expect him to go through some ups and downs because he's going to be a rookie, right? But something's kind of like, it's almost like I'm sitting here with my tinfoil hat on thinking there has to be a trade or something. Like, just have so many guys. I know that Garrett Cooper and what's his name, Dom Smith are like minor league or spring training invites, but I just never really understood them. Like, I also understand that they like made those deals like a week before Bellinger was signed, but man, just it's all really confusing to me. So we'll see if that actually plays out. But I think at this point, I'm pretty content with if it is a platoon of Bush and Wisdom at first, with mostly Bush getting all those at bats. I'm interested to see it play out.
Yeah. For Dom Smith specifically, I remember was the hamate bone was his injury. Coming back and like
tiny little.
Small bone there, and reading Tony Andracki over at Marquis stuff with Dom Smith, it was like first time he's felt really healthy in like 5 years or something like that, since that he's been dealing with it for years and feels healthy and thinks that affected his production. So it will be interesting to see if he's a guy that can force the issue, right? I think we're talking about Michael Bush. He's going to be getting the starting shot at first base. Cody Bellinger's also there to help, but like, is Dom Smith as a lefty bat who has a pretty solid pedigree as a hitter, in the past? Is he someone that can force an issue as far as being a DH, adding another potential lefty bat out there? So, I don't know. For him, it's going to be interesting to see because if he is truly healthy, you wonder if that can get him back to a level where – because remember a couple years ago he was like a guy that the Cubs were interested in trading for or something like that, like to be there for – so whatever it is, it would be interesting to see – if how much health really affects and allows him to just be an overall better player and get back to a level where he could actually somewhat push the issue for him.
Gary says that Jorge Alfaro, my favorite player, got a base hit. And he says that I would have enjoyed his flowing hair. I do enjoy his flowing hair. I'm a big Jorge Alfaro fan. The internet doesn't forget. I'm a big fan. You know what? Also, what I'm a fan of, CD one price cleaners, Luke.
Oh, hold on, I got that. It takes a little technology here. Hold on.
I offered to you offered to do it, so
That's right. Customers save over 30% on their dry cleaning bill by switching to CD one price cleaners. Simple, transparent service. Other cleaners charge a different price for every garment type. Plus, they have upcharges, and you may pay a different price every time you visit. At CD one price cleaners, we charge one low price for any garment. Yep, even sports jerseys. Keep that in mind. That's crucial with opening day coming around, and they got this great fast turnaround. There's one here in Arlington Heights where I live. I love it. Drop off my dry cleaning. It's ready that day or the next day. None of this 3, 4, 5 day garbage. It's ready that same day or the next day, and they text you when it's ready, so you don't have to guess. You know when to drive by there and go get it. They do just about everything there. Dry cleaning, wash, fold, laundry, blankets, comforters, tailoring, alterations, leather cleaning, area rug cleaning. Visit chgo.cd1one.com. Link in the description. Once you're there, you can pick from an in-store coupon or online pickup and delivery coupon options. Not only are they fast, not only do they send you a text, not only is it one price, they do the job right, and they do it right the first time. Critical in getting the cleaners that you want.
Hell yeah. You know what's also great? It's our new Chicago collection.
Oh, yeah.
The merch that we dropped this week on our birthday.
I can't wait for it all to get in here.
I know. I'm so excited for this pizza hoodie, man. I've been emphasizing the pizza hoodie all week. But yeah, no, St. Patrick's Day's coming up, so that the flag shirt that we have.
Yep. I ordered that. Yep, I got it coming.
A good one. Yeah, Luke's got it coming. Then we got the transit hoodie and shirt.
I went
the Second
t-shirt.
City.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's a great collection, man. So get on it while it's hot, and it's hot right now.
Yeah.
All right.
You know what else is great?
What's that?
becoming a CHGO diehard and getting access to the
season
2024 season database, season preview, player-by-player preview of the season.
We dropped it yesterday.
Yeah,
right?
we dropped it yesterday. Talked about it on the show, but
it was like a mic drop too.
Lots of dope info in there.
Dope info. You heard it from Stucky first.
Yes.
Dope info. No, but everyone on the 40 man right now. 2023 recaps, 2024 season outlooks. Just a quick peek into what the Cubs have on their 40 man roster right now, all in one place, and it will continue to be updated. Whether it's someone being added to the 60-day IL, losing the spot on the 40 man, the Cubs moving someone else in there. Whether they make an addition, right, or they have spring training invites in camp. They have non-40-man top prospects that people care about or people want to read about. More is coming. I guarantee it. More is coming. It'll keep being updated. So if you want access to that, you need to become a diehard, but you also get access to a bunch of other stuff too.
Hell yeah. Again, like if you're a diehard, you get 20% off the merch and the events. We have events coming up. I was just talking to Jake Flanagan. Our watch party for opening day against Texas is confirmed at Country Club in Wrigleyville.
Is that where we were last year, right?
Yeah, we were there last year. And I made sure that this year we will be downstairs of Country Club. That way people who have never heard of us actually see us.
Credit to you.
Credit to me. But also, it not only do we need to do that, but also, not everyone wants to walk up a whole flight of stairs, brother. All right? So...
kids these days. I used to go up the stairs both ways to school.
I used to walk through the snow to get to school.
Yeah, that was such a...
You know how many predators I used to have to fight off on the way to school?
I had to take a wagon to and from St. Louis every day because there were no cars back then.
Yeah, there you go. I just know we're going to do a watch party, and we'll be doing post-game there after the game for opening day at Country Club in Wrigley. So for all the diehards out there, sweet. I think that one's not even technically an event. It's just something that we'll be doing. But
I don't know.
Anyway,
it'll be fun. It'll be fun.
Anyway, we got a few minutes left, and today, if you didn't know, you mentioned yesterday was Kyle Schwarber's birthday. Stuck. Today is Jake Arrieta's birthday. What was your favorite part?
A lot of great athletes with birthdays today.
Yeah, apparently.
Jake Arrieta, 38 years old. Shaquille O'Neal, born on exactly the same day as me, also 52. So you have Jake Arrieta, Shaquille O'Neal, me, and Glendon Rush. 4 super athletes. 4 super athletes on March 5th.
I'd love to see you and Glendon Rush in a race. Like running across Wrigley Field.
Me, Glendon Rush, and Herb.
Yes. Yes.
By the way,
that would be elite content.
No, I'm not doing that.
I'd pay to watch.
You would, but you're not going to see it.
Arrieta is, I think we were discussing in Slack,
it's his birthday.
Because it's his birthday. Like, is he a guy that the Cubs should retire his number one day or anything 49. Like that? I personally say no, just because he didn't play here long enough. But he will be remembered of having like that Cy Young season. That was honestly historic.
Yeah. No, I think I probably lean that way too. I think having your number retired is obviously very special but exclusive honor. What is it, 6 right now that they're at, right? And one of them is Fergie and Greg Maddux.
Yeah, it's all Hall of Famers. Yeah. Jackie Robinson,
So 6 numbers the Cubs players can't wear. Like we talk about it with the Bears, how they can't retire any more numbers because they already did retire so many. Yeah. The Yankees in the same way. I think they have 15, 20 numbers retired or something like that. Something crazy. I probably don't lean towards retiring Arrieta's number, but honestly, I don't lean towards retiring most of that guy's numbers that played on the 2016 team.
Is Arrieta a Cubs Hall of Famer one day?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Him and Luke.
Say, what way do you honor the guy? And obviously that's one. I just don't know if it's enough.
Yeah.
Of course he's in the Cubs Hall of Fame. He has to be. He had a year of pitching that was unmatched. I kind of put him in the category of Sutcliffe, a dominating year, but his year was so outrageously dominating.
Yeah,
and then it kind of led into a World Series where he pitched in a World Series. So
and If you think about it, the Cubs don't win that World Series without Arrieta. If you consider the 2 wins that he won, 2 games that he won to keep those series alive. True. They don't win the World Series if Jake Arrieta is not on that team. So
they don't win the platform game in 15 without him, probably.
That's true.
Right.
Yeah.
I will say this, and this is what annoys me about Arrieta haters is they think that he just had like one good year. But people forget that this guy nearly threw a no-hitter in 2014 at Fenway Park against the Red Sox. He was starting to rise that year. It's just the fact that the Cubs weren't a good team in 2014, and so no one was paying attention. But when he got his opportunity to come up and pitch in 2014, that's when he started honestly, in my opinion, started taking off, and I felt really good about him going into 15. Didn't expect him to be what he was in the second half of 15.
I don't think anyone did.
But it was kind of like watching, and I'm not comparing the two, it was just kind of like watching Justin Steele these last 2 years. No one expects him to do anything, and, he became an all-star last year, right? Arrieta from 14 to 17 was really good. So it was more than just 1 year, man. Like, he was an elite pitcher for the Cubs for, 3.5, 4 seasons. So, again, Cubs Hall of Fame. You don't retire the number, though.
No, yeah, him and Stuckey are going into the Cubs Hall of Fame together.
Well,
same class.
Jake and I work out together. He spots for me.
Oh,
nice.
Hashtag gains.
We need to see the six-pack because I know he's jacked. All right. If you're working out with Jake Arrieta, then why are you complaining about eating all these sweets all the time?
Let me tell you. You want to know the last time I actually ran somewhere?
To the kitchen when they brought the pizza and cookies in the other day.
No, the last time I can guarantee you this is the last time I ran. I just don't remember what year. I believe it was 2006.
Oh,
actually,
when I ran the sausage race in Milwaukee. On the air for a Cubs broadcast. I think that's the last time I ever ran. And afterwards I said, I will never run again in my life.
Yeah, that's
running clears like the chest and the.
I don't run either. I do the elliptical.
I
do the elliptical.
I'd rather.
That's cardio though. What about cardio, Luke? Just cardio in general. Cardio.
I go up and down the stairs holding kids all day. That's not.
That's actually a good workout. Yeah, that is a good workout.
And you do walk up and down the stairs here.
15 pounds.
You do walk up and down the stairs here too. So.
You rarely take the elevator. I'm always taking the elevator.
Oh wait, do you take the elevator?
I'm a stairs person.
Okay. Wow. Never mind. I gave you too much credit.
Anyway,
I was gonna say we talked about Madrigal today. We didn't talk about him yesterday. It was actually his birthday yesterday.
Was it?
So
Schwarber.
So
2 big hitters, Schwarber
and Madrigal.
So not only does Corey share a birthday with Kyle Schwarber, he shares a birthday with his favorite player, Nick Madrigal.
Who shares more in common? Nick Madrigal, Corey, and Kyle Schwarber, or me and Jake Arrieta and Shaq?
Definitely you, Jake Arrieta, and Shaq.
Absolutely.
Right, yeah.
Well, you and Shaq for sure have a very good personality. Would love to listen to a podcast with you and Shaq talking food. I'm all for it. Would pay for it.
It's good food. I like it.
All right. This was a hell of a show. The way of the end of the show. We'll be back tomorrow, 3:30. Luke, will you be back here tomorrow? Are you gonna be back in studio, or am I gonna have to look at you through the screen?
I'll be right here.
Okay. All right.
This spot.
Credit to you for at least walking to your basement tomorrow. All right.
That's right. I'm keeping everybody safe.
All right.
3:30 tomorrow, Barb.
3:30 tomorrow. Also, the chat claims that the Cubs won the spring training game. So
came back.
Come back, Cubs. Cardiac Cubs in March. Yeah. All right. 22 days from opening day. 22 days.
22 days.
All right. So yeah, see y'all tomorrow. And thanks for checking out the CHGO Cubs Podcast. Vlad W.
We all silly like the mayor.